There are two routes to Manang from Pisang, a lower trail that's a little easier with less climbing, and the upper route, slightly more challenging but also helpful for acclimating with bonus mountain views. We chose the route north of the Marsyangdi and headed for Upper Pisang.
Well, we've just hiked up from Lower Pisang to Upper Pisang, and in behind me, Annapurna 2, 16th highest mountain in the world.
Annapurna 2 is part of the Annapurna chain, but is an independent peak. It was first summited by a team made up of British, Indian, Nepalese nationals in 1960. It is the second highest peak of the range at 7,937 meters. The highest, Annapurna 1, is 8,091 meters, making it the 10th highest mountain in the world. Fantastic views of Lower Pisang from Upper Pisang, a much more traditional village of the region. Look for lots of opportunity to spread good karma with many prayer wheels at the village's entrance. We saw a few signs of earthquake damage. These traditional village buildings saw the worst devastation in Nepal, but this area was not as affected by quake damage as other regions. Our trekking for the day would include one stop for lunch at Ghyaru before setting into the wonderful little traditional Tibetan-style village of Gnawal. More suspension bridge crossings with amazing views of this drier region of the Annapurna Circuit that some feel is the most scenic.
Namaste. Where are you from, sir?
I'm from Tibet.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, welcome, sir.
Climbing higher now at 3,600 meters, it's time to slow the pace down slightly to allow for proper acclimatization. This side of the valley, although a little more challenging to trek, will help you get used to the conditions of the higher altitude. Most trekkers will rest 2 days in Manang before attempting to cross the Thorung La Pass to help with adjusting to the higher elevation. This is the Disyang Valley. Syang is a village in Upper Mustang, Nepal. Disyang means the people who migrated from Upper Mustang to Manang. We arrived at the village of Ghyaru in time for a lunch break. Most of the villages resemble this style seen in the Mustang and Upper Mustang regions here. The walled lanes help to shield visitors and residents from the harsh winds. In my opinion, this trail is one of the most enjoyable in Nepal for its incredible views of the Annapurna Range and the stunning high Tibetan plateau landscape. It's been an important route for yak and salt traders for centuries. You're constantly reminded of the deep Tibetan Buddhist roots with stupas and maniwals almost around every corner. We arrived in Gnawal late in the afternoon with a shadow on the village and some cold winds to endure on the approach. With some of the best lodges in the country, it was nice to arrive in Gnawal to find some wonderful rooms available for the night.
So this is a very good room in a guest house here in Gnawal. 2 beds, nice, really nice accommodations, plus an attached bathroom. So Annapurna Circuit has probably the most lodges or guest houses with attached bathrooms, more than any other area in Nepal for trekking. And of course it's the squat toilet. And if you don't know how that works, you do your business and then there's water there. And you simply take a scoop of water out and use that to flush the toilet.
After checking into my room, I headed out to the upper part of the village where the sun was still shining to check out the gompa or temple.
Hi there, John Sabot, Far East Adventure Travel, trekking the Annapurna Circuit. You can probably tell by my face that I'm quite cold here. It's a very high elevation now. We're over 3,600 meters, very cold, and very much getting into the desert-like atmosphere, very similar to the Tibetan plateau here in the village of Gnawal. Very, very beautiful little Tibetan village, and I'm just about to do a kora around their stupa and the monastery here.
Sending out good karma with a spin of the prayer wheels, I headed back to the lodge to warm up by the kitchen fire and watch one of the porters entertain us with some improvisational dance. Later in the evening, we were lucky enough to see a local performing artist group from Pokhara that specializes in traditional Tibetan and Gurung song and dance at the temple. Back on the trail the next morning for a trek of less than 4 hours to Manang, where we had a planned extra rest day for acclimatization. Should you develop any symptoms of high-altitude sickness, there's a medical center that specializes in A.M.S. in the town. By road, Manang has become more accessible in recent years, allowing for more efficient transport of goods to the village, and for the opportunity for some to enjoy this trekking region with a limited amount of time. There's also a small airport that serves the whole area. There's cultivation on terraces nearby the village, and of course yak herding is popular here. Still, with the new access, it feels remote and sublimely Tibetan. About 45 minutes before we reached Manang, we walked through the little village of Braga with one of the nicest Buddhist monasteries in the region. The monks had left for Kathmandu for higher learning, leaving the monastery vacant through the winter. Finally, we arrived at our stop and rest before pursuing the hardest part of the trek, reaching the summit of the Thorung La Pass. Manang's main source of revenue is the trekking business, but some still support themselves with crops and yak herding. After lunch and a break in our lodge, I started exploring the village to discover we had a surprise for our itinerary.
I'm in the town of Manang now, and we've got some snow, so our plans could be changed.
With one of the biggest trekking disasters in the history of the trail in the previous year, we weren't about to take any chances. We prepared ourselves for at least one extra day on top of the 2 we had already planned to spend in Manang.
Day 2 here in Manang, and more snow, and we have no idea how long it's going to last, so all we can do is hang out here and enjoy the scenery and keep warm by the fire and hope for some better weather soon.
While some trekkers were disappointed having to abandon the rest of their trip due to time constraints, everyone else in the village just seemed to be going about life like it was just another day, except the day's chores included clearing roofs, catching animals, and building snowmen. In the afternoon, to get some walking in and help acclimate, we hiked back to the village of Braga to climb up to the monastery. Unfortunately, unable to find the caretaker who had the key to the Buddhist monastery that's vacant in the winter, we had about the same access as these guys we crossed paths with. The next day was brilliant, bright, sunny, a bluebird day. Time for the classic acclimatization hike in Manang overlooking Annapurna Lake. After spending 2 nights in Manang with a planned third night, we decided we would head straight for Thorung Fedi the next day, leaving out another acclimatization stop in Yakarka. This would mean a summit of the Thorung La Pass, the toughest day of the trek after an 8 to 9 hour day on the trail. Everything felt right though, like this was the way the trek was meant to unfold.
Well, it's day 3 here in Manang, and we have got a little bit of a weather window, so we are going to make a push for Fedi today, and then overnight there, and make a push for the summit, the Thorung La, the next day. So as soon as I get through this gridlock here, we're on our way.
Even a herd of goats couldn't stop us on our push to summit the pass the next day, but they did delay us just by a few minutes. The snow backed up the village of Manang, so there was lots of trekkers eager to move on with the changing weather. Pushing on right to Fedi would put us ahead of most who would make a stop for the night before the summit base camp.
So Annapurna 2,
Yeah.
and then Annapurna 3,
Annapurna.
and Gangapurna.
Yes.
Along the way, some of the clearest, best views of the Annapurna range. This was the longest day of the trek, so a few stops en route for tea and rest were in order. Another stop at Kenjan for some tea and more spectacular views of the Annapurna Range. What originally was our stop for the night, Yak Kharka, had become our lunch break with our adjusted itinerary. We had to take a short lunch too and move on so we could reach Fedi before dark. For now, it feels like we're leaving the Annapurnas behind as we walk the last few kilometers to Fedi. I was very conscious of ensuring I was properly acclimating to this severe jump in elevation. Technically, the rule of thumb is not to ascend and sleep at more than 500 meters from the previous day once you were above 3,000 meters. The jump in altitude we were attempting in one day was over 1,000 meters from Manang to Fedi. One precaution I did take, though, was to hire an extra porter to take the rest of the gear I was packing all the way to the top of the Thorung La, keeping my load light with minimal stress on my system. One last bridge over the Jargoncola River, and we were on the same side of the valley as Fedi. We stopped one last time for a tea break before reaching our destination for the night. I spoke with Naras, one of the porters on our team, about Yarsum Gumba, the lucrative crop that locals harvest in these hills every year.
What's your name?
Naris Gurung.
And where do you live, sir?
I live in Manang now.
And you were telling me just a few minutes ago that you were doing some harvesting last year. Tell people about this plant that is very famous in Nepal and is worth a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a kinds of insect and mushroom. The how to say plant and jiblai ke huncha te? Jiblai. Plant
Body.
plant and animal both.
Plant and man.
And what's it? What do you call it?
Yarsa Gumba.
Yarsa Gumba. We call it Yarsa Gumba, and
And what kind of things can it do for people?
people use for sex energy.
And they pay lots of money for it, don't they?
Yeah.
Yes.
Most of Chinese people likes Yarsa Gumba.
And
That kind of medicine.
and how was the harvest this past season? How was your how many pieces were you able to harvest?
I got only 300 pieces.
And can you give us an idea? You don't have to tell us how much you made, but what can you sell it for on the market these days? What do people pay from pickers for the plant?
Here in Manang, per piece 300 rupees to 500 rupees.
Next time on Far East Adventure Travel, trekking the Great Annapurna Circuit continues with the toughest day of the trek, summiting the Thorung La Pass.